All right, big show coming up, but now let's bring in Shadow Defence Minister Angus Taylor. Angus, thank you very much for your time. Now, if you were the Defence Minister, would you agree to lift our defence spend to 3.5% of GDP within 10 years?
Well, Shari, thanks for having me. And we absolutely need to increase our defence expenditure. And of course, during the election campaign, we announced going to at least 3%. And we've recommitted to that. And we need to do that because we're living in a dangerous and uncertain time where authoritarian regimes are flexing their muscles, whether it's in Russia, whether it's Iran directly attacking Israel or through proxies, of course, or whether it's the military build-up from the Chinese Communist Party. And all of these things mean, in the words of the Prime Minister, Shari, that we are facing the most uncertain time since Second World War. And we need to take appropriate action. 2% of GDP is simply not enough. The government's own defence strategic review is not properly funded. We need to make sure our submarines are properly funded. We need to manufacture missiles here in Australia. We need to have investment in drone and anti-drone technology in the northern facilities that are so crucial at this time in our part of the world. All of this needs investment. It's not getting the investment it deserves. And that's why we need to increase defence spending.
So you just said there 3%. Pete Hegseth at the Shangri-La Dialogue put forward a figure of 3.5%. Is that something that you agree that we do need to commit to? And just remembering this is a 10-year window.
Well, of course, 3 is a lot closer to 3.5 than 2 is. And the real problem we've got at the moment is we're just way short of the mark. Shari, there's no question about that for what we need to do. And as I say, the government's own plan is not properly funded. So, I mean, it's there and very clear that there needs to be significant additional funding. And it's because we are facing this uncertain time. And the places that need the investment are pretty clear. What's also clear is we need to make sure that every dollar is invested well, Shari. And I don't think all of the money invested in defence historically has been invested as well as it needs to be, and that's got to be a part of the focus as well.
I mean, we've seen war played out in real time, Russia, Ukraine, as well in Iran, and we don't have the sort of anywhere near the sort of military equipment that is being used routinely. Drones being the most, I mean, and relatively inexpensive. We just don't have that capability, automated drones.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, the drones is a good example, and counter-drone technology, of course. We're seeing extraordinary advances on that in the Ukraine war. We also saw it from Israel with extraordinary use of technology by Israel in Iran, very effective. And we've got to learn from this. We've got to move much faster. We've got to be way more agile. We've got to focus on delivery, not just rhetoric. And we've got to make sure that we are ultimately in control of our own sovereignty. Shari, alliances are incredibly important. They are unbelievably important, but you get good alliances because you're focused on your own sovereignty, and that means we've got to manufacture our own missiles, for instance. So this is incredibly important at a time like now, and it needs to be a sharp focus for the government, and it isn't, sadly.
Do you think Albanese is trashing our alliance with the United States?
Well, I think it's in real trouble. I mean, it's clear this review of AUKUS is proceeding at a time when we haven't even managed to get a meeting between the Prime Minister and the President. He seems more willing to get a meeting with the President of China than the President of the United States, and yet this is our key strategic ally, the United States, of course. So, look, the Prime Minister needs to get his gear together, needs to get focused on the right things here, and most importantly, needs to get a meeting with the President and needs to get defence spending up.
Indeed. And in fact, you know, Albanese could have a fourth meeting with Chinese President Xi Jinping before he even has his first one with Trump, who won the election in November nearly 8 months ago. It's extraordinary. Now, Albanese failed to come out and support America's strikes on Iran's nuclear facilities on Sunday. Should he have done this straight away in support of our ally?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, this was the right thing for the United States to do. Israel was entirely entitled to take action against Iran because there's an ongoing existential threat for Israel created by Iran and not just through direct attacks but through proxies, of course, over a long period of time. And so it was well within the rights of Israel to do what it did and absolutely appropriate for the United States to support it. And I think the United States has played a very deft hand in the approach it's taken on this. So, yes, Albanese should have supported. He didn't. I mean, what worries me here, Shari, is that there seems to be an anti-US alliance sentiment coming from Albanese and others in the government. And I think that is very dangerous at a time like this. These autocratic regimes are flexing their muscles. Democracies and open societies like ours need to band together and we need to work together. And that's the only way we're going to make sure that we're safe in a difficult time.
Absolutely. It's so refreshing to hear some common sense there. Now, just on another topic, there's been debate about quotas today. Susan Lee has said she's open to them. You have said you don't support them. But the key point is having more women in politics. And there are now fewer women in shadow cabinet under Susan Lee than there were under Peter Dutton. Were you, Angus Taylor, shocked to see your colleagues, Jane Hume, Sarah Henderson, Jacinta Nampijinpa-Price and Claire Chandler, dumped from shadow cabinet?
Well, of course, that's an extraordinary group of very capable women who I worked very closely with in the last term of government, in many cases before that, or last term of parliament, sorry, and in many cases before that when we were in government as well. And yeah, it was disappointing not to see them in the cabinet. I am confident they will all play an important role in public life in the coming months and years, and we need more women like them, Shari, and I certainly hope and encourage all of them and others to get on with it, because we need women exactly like them.
You'd have them back if you became leader in the future?
Well, I'm not going to speculate on that. My focus is on defence and becoming the Defence Minister. That's the goal, Shari. But what I would say is they're an extraordinary group of very capable women and we need more like them.
Indeed. All right. Angus Taylor, really appreciate your time tonight. Thank you so much.